You want?
Welcome, everyone, to the Real Whovians cast. I am your host, Matrix Lord 212, and I am with Connor. What's up, Connor?
Hello.
What's up, David?
Hello, hi, everybody.
What's up, Phillip?
Good morning, one and all.
What's up, Scott?
Greetings and salutations.
All right, so what do we have for reviews, Connor?
Well, I guess New York Times released their review, and it's not very nice.
Oh,
It isn't nice. It isn't nice one bit.
Well, I mean, to be fair, like the review's a load of shit anyway. Because if you read the first paragraph, it has to.
Well,
point
why don't you read the paragraphs?
Well, I don't have to read the paragraphs.
Of course, you don't have to. I was asking
because,
you nicely.
No, but because actually, like, it's written like it is written by a knobhead. You can tell that they're a knobhead.
What?
What's written by? Hang on, children. What's written by?
I don't know
written by a knobhead?
Wait. First of all, hold on. I don't understand the terminology. What are you calling the person?
A knobhead.
A knobhead.
Instead of someone's cock, Joe. The penis. The penis.
A cockhead.
Okay. Thank you for the clarification.
Yeah.
No one is forced to reading anything they don't want to read. You don't have to read it.
I would read it, but I mean, like, do you want to be bored to death by someone that has to point out that the last 11 doctors were British, white, and male?
I mean, that was a stupid. First of all, why can't we pick apart the review?
Because that's all the review is mainly pointing out.
No, but what I'm saying is,
I can answer this very simply. I'm a genius, everybody. So you're all plebs. Sorry about that. Basically, you can't criticize anything anymore unless the person is A, straight, B, white, and a conservative.
We could criticize anything we want. So on that note, Connor.
I've got the review up, but I mean,
okay, we will showcase everyone's review, but if we don't agree with the review, because again we didn't see it, but if I don't like the tone that this person's using, we will rip the person apart. Now, hold on a second. Someone's calling me. Who's calling me?
I'd like to see Miss.
Why are you calling me?
She's not on this shit.
Trying to hang up with this one thing here.
Okay.
But for one thing, Joe, that review that you're
I'd like to see B-Fed's opinion because he's in a complimentous position.
Okay, wait.
Sorry, let Philip. Hang on.
Hold on. Let me talk for a second.
Yeah.
Okay.
You talking then, Philip?
I am the host. So here's the thing.
Really?
Here's the thing. We you're right? Okay. We are not. You're right. Okay.
I don't like your tone, Joe.
Listen.
And I've got the coffee.
Can we just?
Aston, listen. Okay, so we are going to showcase all reviews, and if we don't like what it sounds like, we will take apart that review as well, because we can review the reviewer. Okay?
Right.
So I'm not saying, first of all, I can't agree with the review if I've never seen the episode. So,
oh, hail the great one.
Are you all right? All right.
No, I'm dying.
Hi, Beef.
Right.
Hello, sir.
I wanted to say that particular review, nearly turned me off watching it tomorrow.
Okay, well, nothing's going to turn anybody off Doctor Who, no matter what they write.
Anyone that has to point out in the first paragraph of a review that the past Doctors were white.
Okay, so then read the review so we can take it apart. Let's take it apart.
Then you just know automatically that they're a sanctimonious cunt.
Okay. Look, Connor, would you do us the honors of just reading it?
I can read the review, yeah, but it's
okay.
like,
And I will stop you because we're going to take apart each thing. Okay, so
I
let's
just
go.
don't want anyone to get triggered. You know,
I'm not sure.
we live in a world.
Hang on a minute, you're tricking
Well, no,
me.
I might get triggered because I might not like.
How can
what
you
they-
say that, Con? You're tricking me, you fucking arsehole.
Whoa!
He's a cunt. He's a cunt.
Whoa!
We're cunts, aren't we, really?
This come from?
All right, calm down. What the hell did this guy say from the Times that's got everybody, got a bug up everybody's ass? What the hell did he say? What did he say?
He said
It
David
sounded
Aston
like
is
Harry
incredibly
Jones.
sexy.
I sound like Harry Jones, Prime Minister. What did he say? What did he say?
He said that Chibnall's vision of Doctor Who is bland, boring.
How could you tell that from one episode?
You
I haven't even
can't.
seen the episode yet.
Again, he's just being a
Okay,
sanctimonious.
so I don't agree with what he's saying. So now, what does this guy have a bone to pick with Chibnall? Is he
Probably.
Is he an enemy? Did he give bad reviews to Doctor Who in the past?
No, he seems very complimentary of Capaldi and Moffat.
He loves Moffat. Okay.
Yeah.
Moffat did. Okay.
Yeah.
Moffat did go to the Times himself to have them and do an interview and everything. So maybe. All right. So let's see. So what did he say?
He was a cunt too.
Well, Christ. Everything you read about Sunday's season premiere of Doctor Who on BBC America will focus on
What
the new
the
Doctor.
What the
Played
fuck is that music?
Hold on.
Hang on.
Yeah.
Let me read it.
Calm down. It's only a commercial.
Do you want me to continue?
Yes.
No.
The first woman in the show's 5-decade succession of stars, like the previous 12, she's British and white.
What the hell is that about? First of all,
Well, I mean,
So
you automatically
British
know
and
that
what?
you've got to understand that in modern journalism, it's very easy to point out who the fucking cunt of the pack is.
I don't know. I don't like the reference of like. Obviously, there's ill intentions by saying that it's British and white. Okay, so we already know it's going to be a negative review.
This is an article very obviously written by a member of the Time Ladies.
Oh.
Yeah.
Keeping my mouth
Anyway,
I'm holding back.
a woman as the Doctor is a big deal in the traditionally patriarchal, often rabidly insular world of science fiction, but as significant as the advent of Miss Whittaker may be in cultural terms, the impact of the show is muted in Sunday's episode, the only one provided for review. For fans of this venerable
venereal disease.
adventure,
Yeah.
you see that it's written like it's
I
written
don't
like
like his review already.
Even down to the point how he says Miss Whittaker and not Jodie.
Yeah, I don't like that at all. But I get it.
yeah. Whovians in Who Speak, the biggest changes stem from another passing of the torch, this one man to man, and they're not for the better. Stephen Moffat, the Doctor Who showrunner and head writer for 6 seasons, had handed off these duties to Chris Chibnall. Mr. Chibnall is best known for his work on cop shows, and they've been good ones.
I don't
He
like
was
that.
writer
Colin.
for the original Life on Mars, showrunner for Law and Order UK, and creator of Broadchurch. But he also has Who connections. He was head writer of Torchwood.
Yeah, but does it say the episodes of Doctor Who that he wrote?
No.
No, because this guy probably doesn't even know
Yeah.
that he wrote episodes for Doctor Who.
Well, I mean,
That's not necessarily a bad thing.
to be fair, this isn't a CV, so I mean, you know,
what is this shite? No, okay, yeah.
2006 spin-off series that was watered down, less invigorated version of Doctor Who, and based on the limited evidence of the season premiere, that's where we are again. Doctor Who fans who gleefully obsess over 37 seasons of internal history tends to be a secretive enterprise. Few details have leaked about Mr. Chibnall's plans, and the premiere screener carried an exhaustive no spoilers plea. Don't describe the monsters. Don't say how the Doctor arrives on the scene. Don't say where. Don't say when. Don't say who. In that spirit, what we can say is that Mr. Chibnall clears the decks. He introduces not just Miss Whittaker. She replaces Peter Capaldi. See how he refers to Peter Capaldi. It's Peter Capaldi. But
Yeah,
anyway,
yeah. Right.
The Doctor in the last 3 seasons. But also a diverse new set of potential travelling companions, one portrayed by Bradley Walsh, who played the Jerry Orbach role in Law and Order UK. There is, in comparison to recent seasons, scant reference to the show's mythology, as if Mr. Chibnall is consciously distancing himself from it.
I love Mr. Chibnall, the guy who sat like a little snob, whining about Trial and Time Lord many years ago, is now probably not going to enjoy this level of criticism in the internet age that is even worse.
He admitted he was wrong for doing that. He admitted that he was young. He was too young. You know what the hell he was saying. He admitted it in an interview recently.
I think he should be executed.
Whoa! Wait a minute!
That's gentle justice. That's gentle justice.
What the hell?
Frequent of the lawsuit.
He didn't do anything.
God, I need
Anyway, I'd like to give Beefhead a chance to speak, because I haven't seen for years. It's nice to see you again, Beefhead.
It's good to see you're still with us, Mr. Aston.
I am still with us, despite shoving as much certain substances into my system in the last year and a half.
Don't worry, I'll pick up your slack, big man. The thing is...
I have one question before you start.
Go on.
One question that has taxed the minds of generations of scientists and architects of humanity for years.
Jesus H. Christ.
The architects of Magrathea, and let's go for it.
Where's the beef?
Huh?
It's kept under covers for very late hours of a Saturday night. And I keep that strictly of a familiar basis with Mrs. Beef.
Fuck yeah.
But with regards to the article, which you were asking about, it's the New York Times, and I think what it is you have to... They're running two sides of this. They've got to make it in a way that will appeal to an American reading audience. So, Jerry Orbach and Law and Order, which is something that will play to the American audience because that's how Law and Order was in the US. But I do agree, and he's also saying that the one episode that we've got now, they're used to a Netflix dynamic whereby they will be given the first 3 to 4, maybe up to 6 episodes of the season to take it for review purposes, whereby they get context. The difference is that Netflix drops all that stuff in one day. So to have a tone review, you need 6 episodes because then you're getting that all in the one go. One thing it does validate is that there's been a hell of a lot of secrecy involved with this series, and I do, to a certain degree, agree that there will be no references to the past.
Sucks.
Why would they not do that?
Well, that's a conscious decision because they want to distance themselves because this is a brand new, bright, shiny Doctor Who.
Because it's seen as if you reference the past.
No, I'm not saying that's the right thing. I'm not saying it's the right thing because the thing is, it's a delicate tightrope that you walk in. But the thing is, you don't do what you're doing without having a certain kudos or a certain nod and or respect to the past, and it doesn't have to be bashing you over the head with it, but you have to still pay homage to where you are now because of the 55 years that has gone before.
So we need a lot of kudos, we need a lot of homage, or as the French would say, homage, and we need to sort of start from... Actually, I think he's hit it on the head. They're essentially doing something like 2005. They're starting from scratch. They even have a Northern Doctor. Everything completely clean from the slate of Doctor Who.
If you look at it with the start, even the staffing decisions, the people that you're having on board, the production team and everything like that, it has been a clear deck. They cleared everything from, But I think you have to run the rope of where, you want to get new people on board, but also you have to concern yourself with retention. There are people who will show up just because it's Doctor Who, and they will be there at the door. But this was a conversation that me, Phillip, and Connor had earlier. Was a case of, my kids who are not overly familiar with this, and someone else who I know as well, billboards within London of where the new show is, no one's actually seen it. In other parts of the country, there have been billboards, there have been advertisements. But on the sides of buses or billboards or stuff like that, there hasn't been any. My kids consume media in a different way. They watch it on YouTube, they watch Netflix, everything like that. They don't sit there and watch TV, so they're not going to see the trailers that run between shows, because that's not how they do it nowadays.
It's
so
a totally
you're placing a reliance on the mums and dads.
Yeah, it's a totally different thing between their generation, our generation. We used to have just 3 or 4 channels, and now they've got so many avenues through the internet.
It's not even at that point, to be honest with you, because everyone. If you've got 5 people in a family, those 5 people in the family consume their media in a completely different way. Not you. It's so rare now that you will get 5 members of that family sat around the TV to watch one show at any one time. Even with bloody iPlayer and stuff like that, it is a very, very, very rare occurrence.
Wow.
And if the kids aren't driving the train, then it's down to the parents. And is there enough to say, well, bells and whistles to say, hey, let's get mums and dads on board to change the channel?
The best analogy to what you said, Beefhead. It's so good to see you after these many fucking years.
I'm handsome devil.
You are. It's basically unlike before. Sorry, Philip. I'll let you talk in a minute. You've got, once upon a time, you used to have a TV, one campfire of the modern age. Now everybody has their own personal campfire through different types of sizes of campfire. A laptop, a small iPad or whatever, so you can watch it at any time. You can even control it. I mean, you look at other computer games, 24/7 virtual worlds. So,
and the DVRs, you can basically transport through things.
Yeah. So you finish if you wish, Beef, and Philip, you can take over.
Well, I was going to say I'll let Philip finish me off, but that would probably be a poor choice of terminology.
Oh boy. Sounds like a good
What I was trying to say is, as much as Beef that you say that the mums and dads are going to try and get the kids to sit down and watch stuff too as a family, families are not really like that in actuality.
This is it though. There's a reliance on the parents to put it on, and then the kids to say, "Ooh, what is this?" I'm peeking from behind the door. And to be honest with you, I just don't think there has been enough of that so far.
In my case, I told the kids, when it airs, they're not going to watch it when it airs.
Did you get no? But even then, did you just get a response?
That's what I got. Yeah, they're like,
I've got to be honest, and this is probably a controversial opinion. I think Doctor Who's past its sell-by date.
Ooh.
Oh, isn't it?
Honestly, I don't think it's got any legs to stand on anymore.
What?
I think you're talking shit.
No,
I think I'm going to stand up for Doctor Who because I have my big Doctor Who party badge. Vote Whovian.
Look, all of us does, mate. All of us does.
I think Doctor Who is totally infallible. It can regenerate into anything you want. It's the perfect format since the beginning. It will survive. We will survive. We will grow stronger.
It's not indestructible. I mean, ratings are a key factor. Even though it's commissioned till 2023, that will affect the next season.
The litmus test would be after Jodie's first season to see how it fares. That's the only way we can judge it at the moment.
I have a question because I was talking to Connor the other day. Connor, I don't know if you remember I was talking to you about. There was an interview, I guess it was a red carpet. I don't know where it was. I don't know if it was in New York or wherever it was. And they asked Chibnall, when are they going to start filming Series 12? and he said something towards the effect of, "We have to see how this does. I would like to see it." In so many, I'm paraphrasing. He would hope that it gets done like right away, like they could film right away, but we have to wait and see. What does that mean? Wait and see.
I don't know because I'm not privy to what goes on in Chibnall's head. I honestly, to just go back to the point that I just don't see Doctor Who standing up anymore in the TV market.
And I disagree with you. I think your market is a bunch of well-versed and well-spoken tomatoes and vegetables, but some of your opinions are rotten and negative. They said the same thing about Doctor Who at the beginning. They said the same thing at the end of the Troughton era. They said the same thing when Tom Baker turned over to Peter Davison. They said the same thing after 89. And 17 years was not a hiatus. It was a chance to build up the love from the audience. And Russell T Davies and many others who never get any credit came along. And they brought back Doctor Who stronger than ever.
But it's
So,
not.
yeah,
But it's
I believe-
not. It's not. Hold on. It's not stronger than ever right this second.
Dave, taking it back to your campfire point,
Yes.
is that back in the day there was one campfire. Now there are 20 campfires. Back in the day there were 4 channels.
Yeah.
So your analogy of making it back to what was the classic era is doesn't really continue on to the relevance of now. What it is I think the change was inevitable, but as a brand, it is built on sandy ground, and the foundations, as it stands currently, are unsure. This is a gamble. A gamble. Whichever way you want to look at it, it's a gamble.
My campfire analogy was in the respect, my dear Phillip,
about how it is consumed.
Of how they can have it on any time they want. Yeah. And now there's no such thing as a TV schedule. There's a thing as promoting a TV show and understanding
but you're saying but we bake it, didn't have all that lot.
No, you can have it any time now.
Most families had one TV and there were only 4 channels on TV. Now there's 524.
It's still grounded by rules, though. It still is based on ratings, regardless of whatever money they're getting from any separate party. Ultimately, even if it's commissioned till 2023, this is how the ratings will affect it. Maybe they can't cancel it because it's commissioned, but they could go a year without Doctor Who, or they could cut Doctor Who further, or they've
already gone a year without Doctor Who.
But they can do that again. So the whole thing is that ultimately the ratings have to go up, and it has to stay up. It can't keep going down.
The ratings are not the most important anymore. There's the merchandise, there's the overseas promotion and everything else. So ratings are not even relevant anymore.
You're not buying the product. In other words, I'm going to give you an example.
Because there's not product out there.
I'm going to give you an example. I always bought the Titans, right? There's many different sets of the Titans, okay?
I'm sticking a piece of bread on my head because I
was always excited to get the new sets of Titans, whether it be Capaldi or they came out with the Series 1 set, which was Series 1 of Doctor Who with Christopher Eccleston, and then they had, Cassandra, they had Captain Jack, they had the editor. The set was boring, and it went clearance. Like, people did not go for that set. So that set, they got it once and they never got it again because they knew it didn't sell. Okay? So what I'm trying to tell you is that, although this is a bad analogy, if the show is nobody's watching it, which we don't know yet, but they're not going to buy the merchandise if they don't like it. They don't buy the merchandise, it's a whole cycle. There's a supply and demand.
I did get
supply and demand. If there's no demand for the product, they won't supply it.
I did get a little bit worried when they started releasing all the merchandise, because that sounded like, this show is going to be a dud, so we might as well get as much money out of the fans as possible.
But the merchandise they have is not really doing anything. It's not anything from the show other than brilliant.
Merchandise is bare minimum.
Yeah,
bare minimum.
There's nothing out there.
It's a Titan. It's an action figure.
It's a generic. No villain. No
nothing. And it's a Sonic. It really and a T-shirt. It's bare bones.
The shirts
most of it's geared for females.
Make yourself with a screen.
It's generic. It is generic. The what they've put out is generic merch, but they haven't really committed to anything from it. Now, whether that's a case of that you're not spoiling anything from the season and they're going to put it out towards the end of the season, then perhaps you may get a big influx of it then because they're doing something new with new creatures or villains or whatever. You may get that.
My question to you, Beef, is what is spoiling it if we know who the companions are already? So you could do a figure of every companion.
Yes.
Okay. And a figure of the 13th Doctor in Capaldi's outfit and the 13th Doctor in a new outfit. And that's wave one. Wave one.
Well, of Titans. Of the Titans, yeah.
It could be Titans. It could be action figures. And you're not spoiling anything. You don't have any villains.
I don't think in any previous situation where you've really had, when the season airs, that sort of thing, to be honest with you. You haven't had that in any of the previous seasons that you've had that aired, where you've had a set of the companions and then Titans action figures. You may get that towards the end of it. I think you will. It's more than likely that you will get a wave of Titans, which will be, I don't know when they do that, maybe like partway through the season to bump on whatever.
Well, they were just Comic-Con. They showcased a whole bunch of stuff. I didn't even get to look at it yet for Doctor Who. So I don't know what their plans are, but
basically it's a case of, I'm going to be honest, I never thought I'd say this. Fuck the past. The past means fuck up. We're living in 2018. We're living and providing.
If you forget the past, you're doomed to repeat it. And then it'll get canceled again. No, you can't forget the past.
No, you can't, but you have to pander to the present.
You don't have to pander to anything.
We can't sort of do the same thing as we did 20 years ago, because that might be a lot of things to a lot of people, but it isn't now. And you have to grab new fans, whether they're Doctor Who fans or not.
Right. I tell you what, you're contradicting yourself. But there's one point I agree with you on there, Dave. Is that yes, you need to be bringing new people into it because the kids who would have watched it, say when Eccleston first aired, are now of a different age. And
they are on the way to becoming the old Doctor Who school fans.
Yeah, but you don't crap on the fans you have.
When you had, and this is something that I've always harped on about, is that the Sarah Jane Adventures were a great thing because they were a feeder show for the main. They were a feeder for the main show. That people would come on and they would watch Sarah Jane, and then they would progress or graduate to go and watch the main show.
Well, Sarah Jane said in School Reunion, everything has its time. We have to move on, and you don't have to discard the past. You can respect it and bring it up, but you have to also hand over to a future generation.
You're contradicting yourself, Dave. But what I'm saying is that you need to be bringing new people into it now. And I still think that you can still do a show whereby you can try and appeal to it and still have enough of a respectful doffing of the cap to what has gone before.
Yeah,
you'll do that. But what it is, it's a case of it's one of two things. It's either you need to. You either need to shit or get off the pot, and what they want to do is they want to say, well, do you know what? We're going to put all our eggs in one basket. Is that we're going to get all these new people on board, and to the fact of that, if you don't want to get on board with what we're going to do, well then. Don't let the door hit you on the way out, which is never a good way to run a show. It's never a good way to run a business.
No, they haven't actually said that, though, have they? Nobody's said, fuck the old fans, have they?
Well, no, they have to a certain degree. It's a case of, look...
I think what they're doing is doing what Russell T Davies did in 2005. They're going to drip feed the past in a clever way and sort of reinvent it, because that's essentially what they did with all the icons of Doctor Who. Unless it's the TARDIS, in which case it's more the same thing
There
all
is
the
actually
time.
one key thing that I think does kind of say fuck the old fans, and it's the Doctor Who magazine's time team. I think the average age on the time team is something like 26.
Yes.
There's no one above 30.
Claudia Berlin is gorgeous.
There's that 26.
And she's a feminist, and she probably hates my guts.
That is a good question.
I love you, Claudia. Oh.
All right.
Do kids buy Doctor Who magazine as opposed to how it used to be quite popular?
No, I think
I've got it. I've got the latest issue.
I think these days Doctor Who magazine is pretty obsolete.
Yeah.
No, I do. How many 8, 9, 10-year-olds who are the people who you want to get bringing into the show are going to be paying a magazine that's £6, £7 in the UK? What, eight to $10 for you guys. It's a premium magazine. You are not going to have kids of that age doing it. You're not.
I just want to say something too. What I found interesting is
I have you now.
Hold on.
Everything is going as I had planned, yeah?
All right. Jodie Whittaker came out and she said that the last time she had a convention to talk about Doctor Who.
Look at that. Look at that, everybody. Fucking hell, that beautiful time.
The last time she said she had time to spend talking about Doctor Who, she spent like a few minutes doing it, but then she was talking about everything but Doctor Who.
Oh, God,
James Bond, this, women.
Let me guess, was that Somerset House? Because that's where I was.
Oh, there, yeah. Oh, yeah.
We've literally had this discussion for probably the last 3 nights. Is that all they ask her is, "What's it like being a female playing Doctor Who?"
Mm-hmm. That's it.
It's the only question they can ask her.
What can you tell us about the series? Nothing.
What's it like being a female playing Doctor Who? Oh, well,
different. Yeah.
It's
kind of they're kind of self-strangling the show by being that kind of.
In one respect, yeah, it's the same record on repeat.
But they don't ask. Why don't they ask her like, "Oh, don't you like to take how do you feel about the rules?" Like, or something about like, because Bradley Walsh couldn't even take a damn picture with anything. They shut his thing down. Like, you should ask her, is it worth it with all the stuff that you have to deal with? That you can't show pictures. Your Instagram is affected. Your social media is monitored constantly. Do you have time to do other projects? Nobody's asking any of these questions. Like, I would want to know if she wants to do a movie while she's doing Doctor Who, or does she have time with her family or something? I mean,
full-time schedule for 9 months of the year. The only exception would be Bradley Walsh, and a big agreement was reached between BBC and ITV, whereby he could still keep doing the chase during that.
Yeah, I heard that.
Jodie Whittaker hasn't. Jodie Whittaker, hang on a second, Dave. Let me finish. Jodie Whittaker hasn't got a social media presence. Bradley didn't. He's only basically done Instagram for the case of, I think, bumping the show, and Toast Mandip just throw out bits and bobs because they're quite the younger set. So I don't think you can really say there's rules, this, that, or the other. Yeah, probably behind the scenes there are, but that's not something that's really going to be addressed in a PR interview. That I think, all they can do is ask about the show, but at the end of the day, this year's the interviews, like Connor was saying, and we've spoken about this privately, and it's just like basically it's just the same record on repeat, and it's sort of like you then start filtering it out and then in the case of if you're filtering it out, then that's not good, to be honest with you, because there needs to be something new. That ergo lies to whereby secrecy becomes a you can say spoilers, but secrecy becomes the thing that undermines the maintaining an interest in the show, because no information is just undermining the excitement now.
I agree with that.
Most entertainment interviews are basically done to a strict set of questions, so they're not going to allow them to ask anything that would put the people in awkward positions or reveal.
But there's a thing called throwing somebody a bone once in a while, and they're not throwing anything.
She was on a show a couple of days ago over here called This Morning. It's like a fairly popular morning daytime TV show.
Breakfast show in the UK.
It's a show for thickos.
Phillip Schofield, one of the presenters,
God, the gopher,
basically said I can't wait until it doesn't become a discussion anymore where about your gender, you know, like male female roles. Say like if James Bond turned into a woman, he can't wait until it doesn't become a discussion. And then he immediately followed it up by saying, well, what can you tell us about the show? Nothing. What's it like being a female?
See, this is the bullshit about it all.
David, you gotta let them talk, though. You gotta let them talk. You're like me, cutting people off.
So every time she's going to do an interview from now until the end of her time as Doctor Who, she's going to be
certainly the end of the first season, isn't it?
Yeah, she's going to be asked, what's it like being a female? So it is going to be a discussion. So actually, the feminists that are saying, oh, we don't want this to be a discussion, now making it a discussion because they're trying to promote the show. And it's a ball of, it's weird.
It's damaging.
It's mismanaged. It's massive omni shambles. Yeah.
Well, it's a load of bollocks. I mean, they say, oh, we're not... It shouldn't matter how a person is, you know, gender or race-wise, and then the first thing they do is spend endless amount of time in articles, God knows, spread throughout the internet hemisphere about exactly that. So, and they're aware of it. They're not stupid.
It's the elephant in the room, but rather than address it, they'll try and dance around it. And it's a case of, well, yeah, is gender going to be an issue? Well, yeah, there's a change between a male and a female, but I'll tell you what, we're going to do some really interesting things in the episode, and that's going to be it. Rather than do that and actually dance around it and say, oh, no, it's not an issue, actually, by the factors that you're denying it, rather than just accepting it for what it is and say, yeah, do you know what, this is a big change. It's going to be a gamble. But we feel it's something that, you know, if all of us are really honest in the heart of ourselves, at some point in the way, shape, or form of the show, was inevitable.
Oh. If Misty was here, she'd be able to give us her opinion of it from a female perspective, I suppose. But that's not happening, is it? I suppose. But
what I'm saying is, if we're all honest in our heart of hearts, we knew that something like this, whether be it now, whether it be 5 years time, was, would be inevitable. Right. Would be inevitable. So rather than just say, oh no, gender's not a thing, we say, no, we've done this because we think it's something that could be addressed and everything, rather than dance around the issue, because then it would have just like basically subverted 90% of these questions and then made it about the actual content of the show than rather something that actually is to do with the production of the show.
It's ludicrous, though. He or she, it is an alien from a species that, because of their discovery of regeneration, have got to the point several billion years ahead of humanity that, you know, gender doesn't even exist. They're evolved to the point where this is how real scientists believe extraterrestrials would actually see us. They'd be so ahead of us that anything we have, you know, culture, science, etc., would be like a 20th century person trying to interpret a fucking cave person, you know? Neither would be able to understand the other.
Right.
One would be too primitive and the other would be too advanced. Sorry, Jared.
It's funny because from now on, this genderless being that we've become so used to, it is going to now be defined by gender. Because after she regenerates, she's now going to wait, when's the next female doctor? Because they're going to have to do it again.
She's going to be a female doctor after she regenerates again, because they're not going to do it where they're going to make her a man immediately.
Oh,
which will be at the end of the season 11.
Definitely, it's like 90% she's going to be a female again. But that's not the point. The point is that finally Doctor Who is starting tomorrow. Mm-hmm. I have been totally against the secrecy. I've been totally against the marketing. I've been totally against all the stuff they're doing. Hopefully it pays off for that we can enjoy, and it's better than ever. I don't know how it's going to be. I want it to be positive. I want it to be great. I want it to be some type of nuance, some type of thing that, you know, we look at differently and they're like, wow, this is cool. I don't think we're going to get that. I'm hopeful. But we have to wait.
Like,
well, let's ask Scott, because he's never had a chance to even say anything, really. Scott, would you like to say what you think?
Basically, I'm hoping for the best, and the fact that they're keeping every single person silent is not proven very favorable in my behalf on how the show is going to go. If they had allowed them to at least ask like a few off-the-cuff questions and not be so close to the vest with everything, but I'm gonna give the first episode a try. I'm hoping by the third episode it gets better. Otherwise, I'm seeing Chibnall and Jody gone by the.
So you think by 3 episodes you'll know?
Yeah, by the third episode, because look at the. I know I'm going back to Discovery, which like I said, was not the grandest show, but by the third episode it got better. But
Yeah.
I think by the third, if
I don't agree with that,
do
though.
very good. The 13th season, the 13th series, we're going to see both Chibnall and Whitaker gone, and with a little knock on wood, they may decide, it didn't work real grand with a woman. We'll put the woman on the back shelf for a back burner for right now and try it later on. We'll bring a guy back in, see how that goes again for a while.
I honestly think I look at the writing. Chibnall did the first 2 episodes. So to me, 3 episodes, you won't be able to tell because you only see one writer. I think by episode 5, let's say the halfway point, 5 episodes,
I'm giving
you'll be able to tell
well,
how it is.
actually, in this series particularly, that's not strictly true because this is different now. It is produced differently. It's written differently. They're actually all sat in a room throwing around ideas. It's not necessary. It might have Chibnall's name on it, but it might not all be 100% accredited to Chibnall.
Well, the first 2 episodes of Chibnall.
No, what he's saying is everybody's got an input into that one story.
It's now a writer's room.
Yeah,
and like I said in the past,
not the Americans, not in the full American sense, but in this case of that they'll bandy ideas about, and then it's sort of like, well, okay, if you feel you can run with that, go and do that. But I to a certain degree, whether you think the writing will do that in the idea of how the viewing public, which is what they're pushing for, which they're really pushing for, style counts for everything like that. But if it doesn't grab people's attention, like Scott says.
But the problem there is who's
number three is the breaking point, because the case is people will come on for number 1 for curiosity, number 2 to see whether it what the fuss is about or if it's a car crash, number 3 because if number 2 don't get them, then number 3, then that's where the drop off will be, and no one and people won't watch episode 3. Episode 3 is the acid test.
Yeah,
I have one. A worry, a small niggle. The search for the TARDIS. How long is that going to go through?
Yeah,
episode wise. If that goes too long, then I'm going to get bored because I want to see the TARDIS as soon as I can.
Yeah.
It's not going to be the episode 3, right?
Do you not see what they're doing there?
Don't know.
Right, episode 1.
They're trying to have Whitaker stand on her own, and pretty much using the TARDIS like the 5th Doctor.
Hold on. Hey. Let Beef talk.
No, I was going to say, like Connor was saying, that's an extra bump. You haven't seen the TARDIS. You're going to see the brand new TARDIS this episode. This is episode 3. You're going to see the TARDIS now, brand new TARDIS, and that's what it is. You need they're using that as a PR bump.
Yeah, it's almost like a reward for people who stick with.
Well, I'm speaking to Connor. Connor may just
watch episode 2 to see the title sequence. Watch episode 3 to see the TARDIS. It's trying to keep you on.
Yes. Yeah, and
for a private
and it's also introducing all the icon, just like Russell T Davies did, just like they did back in John Pertwee's first season. To new viewers, sort of introduce it to totally fresh bunch of new fans. I don't
think if I'm honest, with regards to how the program is watched and or consumed and appealed to the viewing public, you can't draw any comparison to the fantasy series. You can't do that anymore. You just can't do that.
Techniques with audience will always be the same.
You can do it with regards to where the show came back with Eccleston, but anything prior to that, you can't really make a comparison of how you grab audience or how audiences consume it. You know, you can make it as into regards of how the show is written or stylized, but you can't make any comparison to how you get people on board to watch it, because it is a completely different dynamic. In 10 years' time, it will be a completely different dynamic to when, you know, Eccleston came back. But you can't. I don't think you can make any. You know, you can't draw a comparison with a viewing audience to anything prior to Eccleston.
I think I was just pointing out the fact that they're going to reintroduce all the icons of the series, and basically this is the first series, so they have to make as much as a good impression, like you know, a daughter being introduced. Well, a boyfriend of a daughter of a certain parents, if you know what I'm talking about, being introduced to the parents. First they introduced the Doctor, companions, TARDIS, and then possibly some old enemies, unless that doesn't happen at all.
That's where I'm worried about. You know how we got these new monsters? Are they going to be disposable monsters?
And that's the problem. And that's what they're doing. It's like every time they introduce a new villain, they change the aspects of one of the Doctor, or two of the aspects of the Doctor's rogue gallery. They want to make them, they're no longer the villain. They're an ally. And to me, that destroys the aspects of Doctor Who.
No, because that is the one way you can make a comparison.
Original series, or what debuted in 2000.
That's one way you can make a comparison to the original series or whatever. It's a case of these are going to be standalone episodes without arcs and everything like that. But if you create a new monster, then that leaves your creative avenue open to bring them back later.
I don't think there's anything such as a non-arc at all, because by actual drama narrative, you have to have the continuity between actions and characters and reactions and all sorts. So in a way, if you think about it, all drama is a sort of arc, at least.
No way is any new monster disposable. It just means that you're not doing anything more with them creatively in that series. You can always bring them back later. Big Finish being case in point. Do you know what I mean?
Well, look at how Star Trek Next Generation and On treated their original characters. Granted, yes, they created new villains and new aliens from Next Generation on, but they still maintained with which new adaptation, they made certain they brought back the old ones like every X number of seasons. And that's what Doctor Who is starting to fail to do. And with the fact that Chibnall saying, oh, no Daleks, no Cybermen. Okay, great. No Cybermen, no Daleks.
The Daleks were being used.
Pick one of the Sea Devils. Or
I know, but look at Sea Devils. Any kid who's watched the show in 2005, unless they've gone back and watched a classic series, they've come into the show new. They won't have a clue who the Sea Devils.
What they could do is they could do like something like have a photograph of. They don't have to do an episode. To me, they don't have to do an episode for that monster or that companion. Just like either do a name drop or maybe like a photograph, and somebody goes, "Oh, that's cool," and then.
My worry is that he's going to make it with is just new stuff.
Well,
that he's going to alienate the original audience.
There's actually a direct classic Who comparison that you can make here in that, and it's not a surprise because he cited this as his favourite era already, is the Hinchcliffe era.
Yeah.
Phillip Hinchcliffe, very first season, season 12, he had a Cyberman story, a Dalek story, and a Sontaran story. After that, he still had them, but very rarely. In fact, I don't think the Daleks did appear again in his era, did they?
No, he fought the Daleks twice.
Everything we know about the current series sounds very suspiciously like Tom Baker's first series. You have the Doctor and companion travelling without a TARDIS, having to rediscover how quite they do. I don't know.
He's taking a leaf out of Hinchcliffe.
Yeah, not ripping it off, but taking inspiration in a positive creative way to create something new. And that's what everybody does, really, I suppose.
That's all well and good.
The Daleks did appear, though, again. Like, the fourth Doctor, Tom Baker, encountered Davros when he was all, like, you know...
Destiny of the Daleks.
Yeah. So, like, he did show them again, but, like...
Instead of where Hinchcliffe went, well, we'll have one season of old
iconic monsters.
villains. We'll have that as a starting point. Chibnall saying, well, we'll go new, and then we'll go backwards, basically.
So he's going to definitely show classic villains at some point.
I think that you'll see a classic villain, but
you would have to keep people...
Wasn't the rumor thing that the Centaurans were going to appear this season?
That's not the case.
Okay, granted, he says there's not going to be Daleks and Cybermen in this debut season. Okay, fine. That doesn't mean they're not going to be introduced in 12 or 13th.
Exactly.
So
I've just had a Fantastic Four, but most of what I think is fantastic, just like me. Basically, I think the best way to look at it is you can use a classic, proven to be universal framework, but create new stuff. So, like, just imagine a cookie cutter that's an old cookie cutter, but you create something new with it.
A new mold.
Yeah. And you put it into the oven, and something delicious and tasty comes out for everybody, yeah?
I mean, to go to your point about whether or not there's going to be any old monsters, Joe, I think that there will be, but say Daleks, for example, I don't think that you'll see any more than... Say he does 3 series. We'll say that Chibnall comes on for 3 series.
She says 3 series.
Whittaker Chibnall.
David, gotta let people talk. Right.
Whittaker Chibnall is a 3-series deal, right? We'll predict that. I don't think you'll see Daleks more than once.
Thank fuck.
At least if they appear once.
It also depends on the story as well, whether they write a good enough Dalek story for them to be in one. Because they're very cannon fodder in their stories, and it doesn't really work with them. So,
it did feel a bit, Philip. Eventually, they were just putting them into any old fucking shit just because they had to.
Well, that's it. You're answering your own argument. That they've got to the point now where that people have got apathy with regards to the Cybermen and the Daleks because they have been overdone. So what do you do to counterbalance that? Well, you can't put more Cybermen and more Daleks into it. Then you have to reinvigorate it in some way, shape or form. Ergo, you create something akin to the Boneless from Flatline. Or you try and do, you try and do something. They're trying to do something different and create new creatures.
I do hope that this season 11 will have memorable villains and monsters.
Same here, and not just pushover ones, just to make her look bigger than and greater than she is.
And
that's a separate discussion to be had. Yeah, of course.
And to be honest, if you wanted memorable villains, they kind of missed the boat in trying to get Jamie Matheson as showrunner, I think.
Yeah, he wrote the.
He's a very capable creator of monsters and villains. In fact, he's probably the best writer in the modern era for monsters and villains.
Yeah, exactly. He did Mummy on the Orient Express, which was a massively memorable episode.
That was my favourite one. So,
Flatline, and White to a certain degree, but he did the first zombie episode of Doctor Who, which was Oxygen.
He actually made zombies fairly interesting for once.
Yeah,
to a degree.
If
you ignore the capitalist sort of backstory of that entire episode.
But that was a show that contradicted itself because it was attacking capitalism, but it was also had a strange sort of contradiction on its own terms. Mid-year.
Okay.
I'd be pretty interested to know what the stories are post episode 6 beyond, because we know nothing about those at all. Nothing.
And we know not even anything about 11.
Yeah.
And that makes it better though, doesn't it, really? Because
not really.
Yeah,
I have to disagree.
If you don't have any expectations, you will literally fall or fail depending on the quality of the story. So it's exciting, just like Doctor Who was back in the days when B. Phil and all of us, who are old enough to remember it, when even a VCR was quite an expensive thing.
You need to hold the audience's attention, and if they're not seeing anything, they'll just leave it alone because they're tired of trying to search for some type of info on Doctor Who, and a 10-month gap or 9-month gap, not showing anything, keep doing the secrecy, you're going to turn off a huge portion of the fan base. This is a different era. This is a different era than the classic.
It's just a case of you're just not going to get the attention. You're not going to get the footfall. It's sort of like this is.
And they can just type in Doctor Who and learn over now.
Even then, Dave, listen. Right, this is the one thing that I would say is that, and this is the criticism that I had of the last trailer and everything like that. This is where the show has, for me, the one thing that it hasn't addressed is that it hasn't established agency. Because it's at the moment it is too generic. There is nothing enough there so far to set it aside from any other visually, and what it is giving people to say, come and watch this show, enough to set it aside, because this is a show that has got 55 years worth of history behind it. It's got great enough weight, treasure, resource to do it, but it hasn't done enough to establish enough of an identity or agency, because it just looks too generic now.
They could actually bring back plenty of long gone enemies from the past to be fantastic to reintroduce.
But even without that, to be honest with you, there needs to be a balance of the two to just to set it aside. But as it stands now, there isn't anything. So when we get into it and when it starts running, if there's not that audience there, then you know that they've just taken a historical fan base for granted, and they've just sort of like basically been
historical fan base. We're not in a museum.
Dereliction of duty, I think, is probably the best way to describe it. Dereliction.
I'm collecting dust right now.
I know. You look a bit mouldy.
Yeah, very mouldy.
Dereliction of duty is the way I would describe it.
Yeah, really? Jeez. You think they're actually going, sort of being a little bit blind to the full potential, what they could be doing?
Blasé.
Then it's like is with your argument, is that they have to please all the merchandise people, don't they? And all the pen pushers and all those other really exciting, fun-filled people.
I'm going to tell you right now, the next series is going to be night and day to this one. They're going to realize everything that they did wrong and all this secretive shit and all this, that he's going to do a completely different season compared to this season. Completely, I feel. Because I feel this is going to hurt them in the ratings.
I do think how the way season 12 will be addressed, there will be changes made.
Yeah, there will be.
I think there will be lessons learned, and there have been certain surveys that have been put out where they've asked fans' opinions of stuff and everything like that. That Phil and I have had through from the BBC. That it's a case of how you feel it's been addressed and everything like that. And I think there will be a change, because it's sort of, you can't have famine or feast these days. There needs to be a trail of breadcrumbs. Otherwise, you're not going to get Hansel and Gretel to go into the house.
Right.
Yeah, but they might turn up to the fucking house and find it's gone already.
Yeah, well,
somebody else is eating it.
Yeah, I know.
You gotta get them to watch the show.
Chibnall's not going to put them in the oven.
And the only problem with that argument, even though it's a fantastic argument, is fans aren't experienced television people. It takes more to make it.
Their problem is how they're going to be watching Doctor Who. Like we proposed. Is it going to be on the tube, or is it going to be on whatever streaming device they've got, like the phone, the tablet?
What did you say, Phillip?
I was going to say, I do hope that they give Jodie a decent range as a character, as a Doctor character. I don't want it to be all happy and all bouncy all the time. I want to see it.
In fact, that
You want to see her challenged.
Another review that came out today, which was actually the BBC official one, gave it 4 stars, but the reviewer said she's too happy.
Oh shit!
I don't want that all the time. I want to see some in depth to her.
There's based on episode 1. There's nothing serious about her. She has no serious head. She's showing no signs of it. Like
it's rainbows.
With Capaldi, he could be really all jolly and kind of like, you know, he had that Cheshire Cat smile.
Yeah.
There's no thundercloud. There's no storm.
You still had like a cold, chilly edge to him. Like Jodie's all bouncy, jolly, clownish.
I hope she was bouncy.
There's no sign whatsoever, not even an inkling of a serious, darker.
Unless that's what we get. Unless that's the progression for her as you go through each episode towards the end, and then by the end she's a different kind of character to what you want.
Isn't the witch episode dark? Isn't the Witchfinders dark?
Yeah, but like it's like kids' TV. I don't know whether it's because of my age, but like when you watch kids' TV, you find characters that are too jolly and too happy to be quite enough.
Yeah,
she's going to go into the.
They're grating. They're annoying.
Yes.
After a while, like 10 episodes of her being like that, at the end you're just going to have people.
How do you feel about screaming women in horror flicks? After a while, you're hoping that the movie's going to just knock them off.
There's got to be stuff happening in the episodes that's a serious nature, where she has to get serious. She has to get dark. She has to defeat a villain. You even seen her kiss somebody goodbye. Something happened somewhere. She keeps happy.
Yeah, but you're viewing all of it in tiny little pieces. You don't know what led up to it, what leads afterwards.
No, I'm saying there's got to be something that shows
Yeah, but Joe, even when she did that looked. I wish what I'm looking for. Even it wasn't so. I can't word it right. It didn't hit you that hard. It was almost theoretics. I can't say that word, but you know what I mean.
Right.
It was theatrics as in opposed to something else. I mean, because the thing is, everyone expected Peter Capaldi to be really dour, really sour all the time. And you know what? He was a really, really funny Doctor. His humour was really spot on. But then there were also points where someone said to him, "That's why you call yourself the." It was Time Heist. That's why you call yourself the Doctor. It's the idea of a professional detachment.
Right.
So you do get the idea that he can be funny, but also there's a point where he takes himself out of it, and there is a cold, clinical aspect to it, and that's something that we're not necessarily seeing with Jodie. And if it is just like it's for, like I've said before, Smithisms, it will just it's just going to run out of steam eventually, because you need to have contrast. Because
I think I've just had a fantastic thought at then. Basically, Who Am I was the first season. He was dark, and I think they'll probably do the same thing. And as for her being jolly all the time, well, that's how Sylvester McCoy's Doctor started out, and look how they did, how they tweaked his character for his second series, and that was fucking gold dust. And the same thing with John Pertwee, even. He started off rather sort of bland in some places, and then the second season, everything was brighter colour. Joe Grant was introduced, the daffodils, and all that sort of thing. And so a first series I've always seen of any TV show, even the start of a book series, even the Beatles themselves, they started off as very mediocre in some respects, but eventually they got to the point where they were doing bloody Sgt. Pepper.
Well, how dare you say that about Spearheading Space? So
the first season is a point where you can figure out exactly what works, engage the audience, get the right balance, or even sort of do something so radical and unexpected that it just blows people away. Like Pet Sounds.
It could considerably endanger her Doctor by having her companions overshadow her, because they're a lot more interesting to look at and watch than her. and that's why I don't want it to be too bouncy.
Yeah.
I want it to have an edge. Yeah.
All right. So tomorrow, unfortunately, I have to work. I know Scott has to work.
Yeah.
We're not going to be able to see it that early. But we will be doing casts tomorrow nights. Also, Walking Dead's going to be appearing at night that we're going to watch also. So
how many are you going to do, Joe? 10, 12?
I am not. I'll probably do 13.
Yeah, draw the line at 13. Yeah, I like that.
But I got to tell you, if it's something that's really, really, really bad, I don't think we can go 13 episodes.
Just don't use any naughty words.
So look, here's the thing. Unfortunately, I have to work 4 doubles in 4 days. So the cast,
gorgeous.
I'll drink 4 doubles in one day.
We all appreciate everything you do, Joe. I want to speak on behalf of all the cast and all the viewers. You're fucking godsend.
I'll speak for myself, sorry.
I'm much appreciated. But yeah, I'm going to try to do as many casts as we can. And we'll see what happens. So, but I definitely am happy that Doc Deuce back tomorrow.
Okay, so it's going to be, oh my God, I can't believe it. It'll be, God damn.
What just went going by the window now?
I know, I can't find K9. Where'd he go? He's hiding. You
know what happened to Phillip?
Oh, is it going to be Doctor Who has no Christmas special this year? Unfucking believable level.
Holy smokes.
I want it to be happy, joy level. I want to be happy and enjoy.
I think the big test will come Monday. Do you have a new shower curtain?
Monday.
See, that's not fair because we are getting a new shower curtain.
All right.
That's not fair. It's killing me. It's killing me. But no. We'll see. All right. Thank you very much, guys. It's been a pleasure. Talk to you soon. Tomorrow's the day. Watch Doctor Who, please. Multiple times. All right. Thank you very much. Take care. Bye for now.